sin hogar.
And we have more and more people living in the streets every day.
Según el expresidente de la Junta, Tim Collins, desde 1990 la Junta ha aumentado 30% más de lo que era necesario para cubrir aumentos de mantenimiento.
According to the ex-president of the board, Tim Collins, since 1990, the board has granted rent increases which were 30% more than what was necessary for maintenance.
La Junta necesita un estudio completo, no solamente de los pequeños aumentos de costo de mantenimiento.
The board needs to do a complete study not only of small increases to cover maintenance costs,
sino también las montañas de ganancias que han acumulado los caseros, por otro lado, que han aumentado los caseros, y por otro lado la realidad completa de todo lo que los inquilinos vivimos.
but also the mountains of profit which landlords have accumulated, and all of the increases that tenants have had to suffer through.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank
Gracias,
you.
Cristina.
Just one more thing.
Una cosa más.
La congelación mantiene las cosas tal y como están. El verdadero alivio y justicia es una reducción.
Rent freeze will keep things just like they are, but the real relief and justice would be from a rent rollback.
Thank you. I will now welcome Fariha Haider, Krishna Parmeswar, and Fredlyn Monpoint.
Hi, good evening. I'm Fariha. I've lived in Queens my entire life, and I've gotten to canvass with the Queens Tenant Coalition the past year. We've knocked on countless doors throughout Queens and spoken with many tenants who have voiced that while a rent freeze is a step in the right direction, the rent as it is now, following the 12% increase under the Adams administration, is unbearable. Buildings remain in disrepair and deplorable conditions. The cost of living has increased overall, and tenants are facing significant burden, having to choose between paying rent or other bills, groceries, healthcare, childcare, and other essential needs. The data the board has been presented with is skewed toward landlord costs and not accurately representative of tenant needs, with only one study reflecting tenant incomes. Again, a rent freeze would help in preventing further hikes. However, a rollback or a reduction is imperative for undoing past increases and providing necessary relief. Rent hikes should have never even been in consideration. I implore members of the board to act on the testimonies heard today with the urgency they demand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Krishna Parameshwar. I just want to, I am close to retirement age, so I just want to highlight the effect of what you're going to do on the seniors and people who are living on fixed income. For them, they pay more than 40% of their income towards rent, and they are not also earning.
And if you could hold the mic just a bit closer, Krishna.
Okay, they are not earning as much as they did in their younger days, so they are relying on pension, interest, Social Security, and more they draw from there, more taxable it becomes for them. So it's a big burden for them. So the other thing is, I just want to mention, like today, to rent a one-bedroom apartment is like $2,600 in my neighborhood in Woodside, Queens. I'm not talking about Manhattan now. So you have to earn times 40 times or 30 times, they say. That's like once these people, if you, so that's like you have to earn like $100,000 to get an apartment. So seniors don't make that kind of money. So if they are pushed out from the apartment, they will be dependent on the state. State will have to take care of them before everything. That's one thing you should keep in mind. Also, like, I am not in a rent-stabilized apartment, but I am having issues with my landlord because you're going to set the market rate, and he wants the market rate, and so that kind of affects me in a way. Also the landlords, I hear they not just make on the operating income, they also make on the capital gains. So you should take that into consideration. Like the landlord, the gentleman who was here before said, he's not worried about himself, he's worried about the tenant, because he's not worried about himself because he will get his cost, everything that he paid, the capital improvement he made, he gets an increase in rent, and also when he sells it, the value goes up. So there's a lot of things like that you should take into consideration. That's my request to you. So try to keep it down. I know they have to make a profit too. So you should take the full picture. Tenants require to show their income taxes, bank statements, all those things. And they should also show it to you if they want. They should open the books, not just the profit and loss, the balance sheet also. They make money both ways. They sell and make money, and all kinds of things happen. So I urge you to look at the whole picture, make the whole thing transparent, and make a decision based on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Fredlyn Monpoint. I'm a resident here. I've lived in this neighborhood for over 20 years. I'm a single mom. I have 4 children. I am surprised that we're here discussing rent increase, because I really believed when we voted for the mayor that would have been something that's totally off the books. I personally have 2 jobs. Sometimes I have to work 3 jobs just to pay the rent. And I'm surprised, like some people, they say, oh, they have a surplus for this, a surplus for that. I have no surplus. I stay in the negative because this rent is ridiculous. And my apartment is rent stabilized, but it's like you can't feel that it's rent stabilized because the rent is still so high. So it's not even like I want a rent freeze. I would love a rent rollback to something that's feasible, that's something that I can handle. I don't understand how we're here. It should be your one job should be able to pay your rent, your living, your food, your everything. And I cannot do that. The landlord was speaking about, oh, you can get City Phelps, he can assist them to get Section 8. I cannot get that because my income is too high to qualify for City Phelps, but my income is too low to get any of those lottery apartments. And I put lottery in quotations because they're not affordable. They are not affordable. So I pray that you guys will really decide that we deserve a rent rollback. We cannot sustain. I cannot sustain with the rent freeze. I'm barely making it now. And like I said, I have 2 jobs already. Whenever I can grab another job, do somebody's hair to get some kind of income, that's what I do to sustain myself and my 4 children. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now welcome Abdur Rahman, Kit Lee, and Anna Hilarion. Is Abdur Rahman here?
আসসালামু আলাইকুম আমার নাম আব্দুর রহমান আমি 25 বছর থেকে এই কুইন্সে এস্টোরিয়াতে আছি এবং আমি কেবের একজন
আবার শুরু থেকে বলেন এবং আস্তে আস্তে বলুন
Can we get the second microphone? Thank you.
Is it on? I'm okay.
আমার নাম আব্দুর রহমান। আমি 25 বছর যাবত কুইন্সে বসবাস করছি।
My name is Abdur Rahman. I have been a resident of Queens for 35 years.
আমি খুব সৌভাগ্যবান যে আমি আজকে আরজিবি মেম্বারদেরকে সামনে পেয়ে রেন্ট ফ্রিজের কথা বলতে পারছি।
I am honored to be able to speak in front of RGB about the rent.
কয়েক বছর থেকে শুনে আসতেছি এবং আমরা দেখতেছি যে ভাড়াটিয়াদের বিভিন্ন সমস্যা হচ্ছে, যেহেতু রেন্ট বাড়তেছে কিন্তু রেন্ট কমতেছে না দ্রব্যমূল্যের ঊর্ধ্বগতি।
For some years, we have been hearing about the rent increasing, but the rent not decreasing because of inflation.
যেহেতু অর্থনৈতিক অবস্থা খুবই, শুধু নিউ ইয়র্কের নয় সব জায়গারই অর্থনৈতিক অবস্থা খুব শোচনীয়, যেহেতু ইলেকট্রিক বিল বাড়তেছে, গ্যাসের
Because
বিল
the
বাড়তেছে।
financial situation is not only bad in New York, it is bad everywhere. The gas bill, the electric bill are both high.
যেমন ক্রেডিট কার্ড দিন দিন মানে মানুষের যখন ওই গড় ভাড়া দিতে পারতেছে না তখন যে ক্রেডিট কার্ডে যাচ্ছে, অন্যান্য লোনে যাচ্ছে, কিন্তু ভাড়াটিয়াদের সবচেয়ে গরিবেরই ইনকাম কম, এই জন্য তারা ভাড়া দিতে পারতেছে না।
When people are not being able to pay their expenses, they are taking more credit cards out, they are taking more loans out, and they are not being able to pay their rent or expenses.
যেহেতু শুধু গড় ভাড়া নয়, ব্যবসা বাণিজ্যেও এই যে রেন্ট বাড়তেছে, কিন্তু অনেক ব্যবসা প্রতিষ্ঠানরাও তারা ভাড়া দিতে পারতেছে না, ব্যাংক্রাপসি করতেছে।
Not only residential rent, a lot of businesses are not being able to pay the rent and are shutting down.
আমি একজন ছোট্ট একটা বাড়ির মালিক, কিন্তু আমার ছেলে ডিসেবল, আমি রিটায়ার্ড মানুষ।
I am just a small home owner. I have a son and now I am retired.
আমার দুইজন ভাড়াটিয়া আছে, দুজন ভাড়াটিয়া বর্তমানে তারা রেন্ট দিতে পারতেছে না।
I have two tenants. Both tenants are currently unable to pay rent.
একজন ভাড়াটিয়া 7 মাস থেকে ভাড়া দিতে পারতেছে না, জব নাই, এবং আরেকজন ভাড়াটিয়া 3 মাস থেকে তার ব্যবসা ছিল, ব্যবসা মন্দা থাকায় ব্যবসাটা বন্ধ করে দিছে।
One of the tenants has not paid rent for 7 months because he does not have a job. The other tenant has not been paying for 3 months since his business has gone bad.
এই অবস্থায় আমি কোনো আইনের আশ্রয় যাইতে পারতেছি না, কিন্তু আমার ভাড়াটিয়ারা ভালো, আমি গত 15 বছর যাবত আমি কোনো ভাড়া বাড়াই নাই।
I am not being able to seek any help from the laws. My tenants are good people, however, but they are not being able to pay the rent.
এই মুহূর্তে আমি একমাত্র আমি ট্যাক্স দিতে পারতেছি না, যেহেতু আমার ট্যাক্সের টাকা বাড়তেছে, ভাড়াটিয়া ভাড়া দিতেছে না। এরপরেও আমি চাই রেন্টটা ফ্রিজ হোক কয়েক বছরের জন্য। আপনারা দয়া করে মানে সব অ্যাঙ্গেল থেকে অন্তত রেন্টটা আপনারা অনুরোধ করতেছি রেন্টটা কমানোর জন্য এবং রেন্ট ফ্রিজ করার জন্য।
At this moment, I am not able to pay my taxes. I am not able to pay the taxes because I don't have the money, as I am not receiving any rent. So that is why I am pleading to the members of RGB to freeze the rent or give a rollback, please.
ধন্যবাদ আপনাদেরকে।
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll welcome Kit Lee, Anna Hilarion, and Sora Ferraro. Okay. Is Kit Lee not in here right now? Okay. Well, we'll go to Anna.
Necesito a alguien que me traduzca, por favor. Sí, yo voy a tener aquí. Okay. Buenas noches, mi nombre es Ana Hilarión, soy miembro de la coalición de inquilinos de Queens y vengo a exigir una reducción de renta porque la renta es demasiado alta. Yo he vivido por más de 30 años en el 15011 de la 88 Avenida aquí en Jamaica. Mi casero es Sara Reality.
Good evening, my name is Ana Hilario. I am a member of the Coalition for Tenants here in Queens, and I've come to demand a rent reduction this evening because the rent is entirely too high. I've lived for more than 30 years at 15011 8th Avenue here in Jamaica, and my landlord is Zara Realty.
Mi esposo y yo trabajamos, pero vivimos mes a mes porque pagamos la renta que es demasiado alta. Ahora más después que, como todos sabemos, Eric Adams nos aumentó más del 12%. Con lo que nos queda es difícil cubrir todas las otras necesidades básicas como hacer la compra para nuestros alimentos. No contamos con un ahorro porque vivimos de cheque a cheque cada mes.
My husband and I work, but of course we live month to month in order to make payment, rent payment, which is entirely too high, as I mentioned before. And of course, Eric Adams increased our rent by 12%, which of course accounts for the fact that whatever's left from our income, we need to use for our basic necessities, especially for our groceries. We don't have a savings account, and for this reason, we live check to check each month.
Mi casero Sara tiene más de 40 edificios y cientos de millones de dólares, porque durante todos estos años se han enriquecido, aparte de exprimirnos más con MCI. Pero no dan buen mantenimiento. Por ejemplo, en mi apartamento me vi en la necesidad de comprar a crédito una estufa y una nevera, porque Sara nos hace entrega de neveras y estufas de segunda mano que muchas veces vienen con plagas de cucarachas.
So, like I said, my landlord is Zara, and they have over 40 buildings, and they, of course, make profits of hundreds of millions of dollars, because every single year, they just literally increase their coffers. Aside from literally expressing or killing us with MCIs, they don't offer us good maintenance. For example, in my apartment, I was forced to have to buy a stove and a refrigerator on credit because Zara gave us second-hand refrigerators and stoves, which of course were plagued with roaches.
También padecemos del constante acoso porque a muchos vecinos nos han negado las llaves por años y nos han obligado a pagar $200 por una sola llave. No solo el costo de la llave, pero el peligro que viven mis hijas, tengo 2 hijas, y al finalizar la escuela tienen que esperar afuera del edificio para que alguien les abra porque no tienen llave.
We are also plagued with the constant harassment on their part, as well as many of my neighbors who have been denied keys to their very own apartments, forcing us to pay $200 for one single key in order to have access to our apartments. Not even speaking of the danger that my daughters, I have 2 daughters, the danger that they face. Whenever they come back from school, they have to wait outside until they are let into the building.
Actualmente no podemos usar la puerta de atrás porque lo que no tenemos acceso a la rampa en un edificio hace trabajos de soldaduría. También quiero agregar que en mi edificio hacen trabajos de soldaduría en el sótano sin permiso, poniendo en riesgo nuestra salud con humos tóxicos y posibilidad de explosión. Y ya llamé al 311 también y nadie ha venido. Oh, perdón, sí.
So currently we're also, so at the moment we cannot use the ramp to the back door. We don't have access to that. Aside from that, illegal soldering is being done in our basement, which of course is exposing us to dangerous toxins, and there's also the risk of an explosion occurring at the moment.
Ustedes, la Junta, tienen que mirar y hacer un estudio más completo para ver las ganancias que la mayoría de los caseros han acumulado por muchos años y ver que ellos no necesitaban tantos aumentos y en cambio ver cómo nosotros los inquilinos hemos sufrido cada vez más. Congelación no es suficiente, necesitamos una reducción ahora.
The RGB needs to carefully study and look at all of the outlandish earnings that the majority of the landlords in this city have accumulated across the last few years. They do not need all of these increases. In fact, we, the tenants, are the ones that are constantly suffering. So a rent freeze is not enough. We need a rent rollback now.
Thank you. I will welcome Sora Ferraro, Kit Lee, and Evelyn Lampkin.
Hi, my name is Sora, and I'm a student in School of Visual Arts. I have lived in Astoria my entire life. Like me, my dad is an artist who also went to the same college. He has worked in museums like the Met and the American Museum of Natural History for over 40 years. He was forced to retire just recently by the Trump administration. They threw a small amount of money at him to leave, and if he didn't take it, they would have made him retire some other way. It was either he took it then or left a bit later with nothing. Taxes took half of that money away from him. He is now going through with major apartment renovations that had to be done, or major leaks and pipe bursts would have happened. These renovations are causing a lot of financial strain for us. My dad has been working since he was 10 years old. He is the most hardworking person I know, and all he wants in his life is to have his own studio space to make art. Although we are homeowners, the rising rents impact us because we can't even find anything close to his price range to be able to fulfill his dream. With years of family problems at home, all we want, both of us, is to get out and have our own space to be able to do the things we love and have a peaceful place to call home. It's a struggle to be at home most of the time because of all these family problems. All we need is to be able to get out and find a place that is affordable, but that seems as impossible as of right now. New York City has always been home to artists, and this city needs to continue to support them. We need a rent rollback, and if not, just stop increasing the rent, unless you want to kick all of us out. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Evelyn Lampkin or Kit Lee? Is Evelyn here? Oh, great. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. You never know when you're traveling down the yellow brick road to go home what you might run into. It's here. So I came in, and I'm putting voice to action.
Welcome.
My name is Evelyn Lampkin, Evelyn Alva Lampkin, also known as Lady Alva. I'm the CEO and founder of the Hummingbirds Network. I'm getting a little nervous. It's an emotional thing for me. And it's okay. And thank you. I advocating for women living positively with HIV, creatively and empowering. So, to you guys, increasing rent in New York City doesn't just raise numbers on paper. It creates real harm. It causes instability, more stress, and more societal mischief, especially for women living positively with HIV. Our quality of life matters. Many of us rely on subsidized rent to survive, to stay stable, and to stay healthy. Owning rental property is a service first. It is a promise to care for the people who call those buildings home. Before profit, before business, before numbers. There are human beings whose lives depend on stable, safe, dignified housing. And for women like me, living with HIV, that stability is not optional. It is part of our health, our survival, our ability to live with dignity. And for us, the people, the renters, our humanity is at stake similarly. We too must care for the properties we rent and the communities we live in. When rent goes up, it doesn't improve our living conditions. It only greases the pockets of landlords who do not care about the well-being of their tenants.
Thank you, Evelyn.
They care about profit. Meanwhile, many of us are living in apartments that are not cleaned, not sanitized, not freshly painted, and not kept up to basic standards of dignity. The rent increases that you approve go directly into their pockets, who are not held accountable. And it directly controls our quality of life.
Thank you.
This is not fair. This is not justice. And it is not New York City we claim to be.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Last but not least, so today I am asking you to remember this. Housing is humanity. And when you raise the rent without the standard of care, you are not just adjusting numbers, you are adjusting lives. Our lives, and we deserve better.
Thank you. I will now welcome Cynthia Nixon, Wilson Alvarez, and Mila Bravo. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll call them again at the end. Is Cynthia here? Okay, Wilson? Is Wilson here?
Hello there, my name is Wilson. To that yellow brick road, as she mentioned, that's not a lie. I literally hopped off the bus when I passed by because this is the opportunity a lot of people don't have.
Welcome.
So I'm happy, thank you. In also relation to someone that mentioned that dentist appointment being canceled, I had to literally cancel surgery for last Monday for a hernia. And I know that I won't be able to, go ahead, boss. I know I won't be able to reschedule for next month because I had to pay my rent. So I have to choose between rent or my life, and I chose rent, okay? I know I won't be able to reschedule it, I'm sorry. And after this, I'm actually having to walk to 200th Street in Hollis because I can't afford the transportation right after this, okay? That's not right. Check to check, I'm living day to day, if not minute to minute right now. But I'm not here for one person myself. I'm here for the 2.5 million and the few hundred in this meeting who need a voice, and I'm more than happy, graced, and honored that I have that opportunity. Wynn, Smith, sorry if I butcher your names, Wynn, Smith, Sinai, Maladia, McLaughlin, Mitchell, Mansija, Gupta, and Sharma. I'm asking, no, I'm calling, no, demanding for a rent rollback. Apologies I'm asking for a basic living need is somehow too much for civility. We're only humans, right? The last increase pushed tenants past what they call realistically, what they can realistically afford, if not to the limit of survival, like we're in the Hunger Games. That's not right. Every essential cost in the city has gone up: food, transportation, utilities, especially personal expenses like health care. Again, health care. The freaking care of our health so we can keep coming back here year after year fighting the same fight. That's not right. People are falling behind, not because of irresponsibility, but because the cost of living rose faster than our paychecks every single time, and they have to make decisions that no one should. A roof for shelter or food to live. That's not right. The Rent Guidelines Board was created to protect affordability for tenants, not to fill the pockets of those lords of the land that are known as landlords. When rent goes up, it's not just adults who suffer, it hits the elderly on fixed incomes and children in struggling families the hardest. They're already hurting. And another increase would make their situation even worse. It's unacceptable and it's not right. A rollback would give people a chance to feel financially safe. Financially safe. I hate saying that because that shouldn't be a thing. Instead of living check to check or even worse. Sorry. It would let families breathe a sigh of relief for the first time in a while. The suffering of 2.5 million are in your hands. In Kingston, New York, they organized and won a rent rollback of 15% in 2022. It was exactly the relief the community needed. We're following in their footsteps and hoping you choose what's right for the people who actually live here. They say one doesn't understand someone struggle until they walk in their shoes. I have an extra pair of shoes if you guys ever feel like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have Cynthia or Mila Bravo? Orlando Hanau, Douglas Ostling, and Juan Hock Chung are next.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Myla Bravo. Good evening, members of the Rent Guidelines Board. I am a single mother raising my daughter, and I am also the primary caregiver for my 86-year-old mother who lives with me. I am here today because I need rent relief now. I have worked as an architect for more than 15 years. I am a professional who has spent my career helping design and improve buildings and communities. Yet, despite my education, experience, and years of hard work, I find myself struggling to afford the very thing that should be basic and attainable, a safe and stable home. Every year, rents continue to rise while tenants are expected to absorb the increasing cost. At the same time, food, electricity, healthcare, transportation, and insurance costs are skyrocketed. My income has not kept pace with these increases. As a result, I am forced to make difficult choices every month while supporting my daughter and caring for my elderly mother. What is most frustrating is seeing landlords continue to seek higher rents while many tenants are barely staying afloat. If a working professional with over 15 years experience is struggling to afford rent, imagine the hardship faced by seniors, service workers, and families living paycheck to paycheck. Housing should not be treated as a vehicle for endless profit, while tenants bear the burden. Rent has reached a level that is simply unsustainable for many New Yorkers. I am not asking for a favor. I am asking for fairness. I am asking for the opportunity to remain in my home without the constant fear of being priced out of my community. I cannot afford another rent increase. I need a rent reduction or rollback. The financial pressure on tenants is real, and it is happening now. Every increase pushes more people closer to the edge. I respectfully urge the board to reject any rent increase and approve a rent reduction or rollback. Please consider the realities faced by hardworking tenants like me who are doing everything right and still struggling to keep a roof over our heads. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. I'll now welcome Orlando Hanau, Douglas Ostling, and Juan Hock Chung.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Orlando Henao. I live 140-60 Beach Avenue in Flushing for 7 years until moving from Jackson Heights after 38 years. My landlord is Sarah Realty, and I am here to demand rent rollback. I spend 50% of my income on rent every month, and for that reason, my family struggles to buy enough food to pay for medicine and co-payment, and to pay for utilities. I am sure also that many families cannot even save $1 a month for the future education of their children. All of this leads to a critical and very sad situation for all families in New York. Landlords face a lot of big violations, like no repairs, broken intercom, and broken main entrance. Lack in my building, for instance, right now. Landlords make a lot of money every year, and they don't spend money for maintenance and repairs in our buildings. We demand the board to study on landlords' expenses. We also are here to ask the board to reflect on our difficult situation to pay very high rents that is causing, as a result, emotional damage to most families. So I am asking the board, commission, study and analyze both present and historical profits made by landlords and what rental adjustment are needed to truly make this city affordable, and we want a rollback rent. Finally, dear members of the board, we are not here not to beg for favors, but instead to demand that our rights to be honored and respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have Douglas Ostling and Won Hock Chung next?
Good evening. My name is Doug Ostling, living in a rent-stabilized building in Flushing. I'm a retired facilities manager living on a fixed income, over 40% of which goes to rent. Social Security can't keep up with the rampant inflation, and the rent increases of over 12% in the last 4 years alone. Every month I have to juggle household expenses and choose between rent, buying my prescription meds, and putting food on the table. Landlords, meanwhile, are living large. They've seen net increase of operating expenses of over 31% in just the last 3 years. Landlords plead poverty and say they lack the money to make repairs, but they find plenty of it to buy new buildings to exploit. My rent's already too damn high, and raising it further is going to put me in a cardboard box on the street or drive me out of the city entirely. I face the grim prospect because you, this board, has routinely rewarded landlords at the expense of us tenants. You've taken the financial pressures landlords claim to face while totally disregarding the financial plight we tenants face every day. More and more properties are being gobbled up by the top 5% of landlords, who now own almost 90% of all rent-stabilized buildings in this city. And they can use their political clout, their accountants, their tax shelters, their loopholes to hide their profits and achieve economies of scale to reduce actual, not reported, operating expenses. I know, I've done it. They pass the cost of the few repairs and improvements they do make onto tenants in the forms of MCIs and IAIs. The deck's been stacked against tenants for decades in the city, but you have the power to change that. You can give us a fair shake and account for the dire plight of working people and give it equal weight to the reported claims and misleading claims of landlords. And you can demand full accountability and transparency when reviewing their cookbooks and bogus claims. If you do, you will conclude that simply freezing the rent isn't enough. We demand a rent rollback in order to help the working people of this city stay in it.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you. I also have printouts for each of you citing the reasons why a rent rollback and not simply a rent freeze is warranted.
Thank you. I'll now welcome Won Hock Chung.
제 이름은 정원학이며 퀸즈 세입자 연합의 멤버입니다. 저는 골든 스트레이트에서 6년 살았습니다. 저는 임대료 인하와 집주인의 과도한 이익에 대한 조사를 요구하기 위해 이 자리에 섰습니다.
Hello, my name is Won Hock Chung. I am a member of the Queens Tenant Coalition. I've been living in Colden Street in Flushing for over 6 years, and I'm here today to ask for a rent rollback and for a study to understand the overcompensation of landlords.
뉴욕 시민의 절반 이상과 마찬가지로 저도 거주비 부담이 큽니다. 맨날 전세는 오르고 비용은 쓰다 보니 전기요금, 핸드폰, 케이블, 모자라는 방세를 감당할 수 없습니다. 지금은 집세를 감당할 수 없는 상황입니다. 집세 인상만 동결을 한다고 해도 여전히 감당하기 힘들 것이며 지금처럼 계속 어려움을 겪게 될 것입니다.
So like more than half of the tenants in New York City, my rent burden is immense. Because I spend so much on rent, I can barely afford my electricity bill, my phone bills, cable, and so many other expenses. It's already hard for me to afford, and even with a frozen rent, I can't afford it, and I will continue to struggle this way.
한편으로 우리 입세자들은 집주인으로부터 부당한 대우와 차별을 겪고 있습니다. 저와 같은 많은 한인 세입자들은 소외감을 느끼며 집주인들에게 불이익을 당하고 있습니다. 이런 대우를 받으면서까지 왜 우리가 임대료 인상을 감수해야 합니까?
Meanwhile, tenants like me experience discrimination and harassment from landlords. So many Korean American tenants like myself feel isolated facing such mistreatment from landlords. Must we face a rent increase while experiencing this type of treatment?
그래서 집세 인하가 필요합니다. 집주인들이 세입자의 필요를 예면하고 자신들의 주머니만 채우는 것은 불공평합니다.
And that's why we need a rent rollback. Is it fair that landlords stuff their own pockets while tenants are facing these situations?
우리가 이곳에 모인 이유는 전세 집이나 너무 비싸서 생계를 꾸려나가기 힘들기 때문입니다. 생활비는 계속 오르고 있는데 임금은 오르지 않고 있습니다. 반면 집주인들의 소득은 지난 3년 동안 30% 이상 증가했습니다. 그런데도 이 이윤회는 집주인의 비용에 관한 연구는 수없이 검토하면서도 세입자의 부담이 관한 연구는 단 한 건밖에 검토하지 않고 있습니다. 집주인들이 전세 현재와 과거의 거둔 수익을 분석하고 이 도시를 진정으로 거주비 부담이 적은 곳으로 만들기 위해 어떤 임대료 조정이 필요한지 파악하며 임대료를 인하해 줄 것을 요청합니다.
We are all here today because our rent is too high and we are struggling to make ends meet. Our wages are not increasing and the cost of living keeps going up. And meanwhile, we all know that landlord incomes have risen over 30% in the last 3 years. Yet this board sees study after study on landlord expenses, but only one on tenant burden. So I'm asking that the board commission a study analyzing present and historical profits made by landlords, and I'm calling for a rent rollback.
Thank you. Next, I will welcome Kyung S. Cho, Sheila Rasuli, and Mark Johnston.
헬로. 제 이름은 최경순, 퀸즈 세입자 연합의 멤버입니다. 저는 35에 55 73 스트리트 아파트 넘버 501 잭슨하이 살았습니다. 저는 임대료 인하의 집주인의 과도한 이익에 대한 조사를 요구하기 위해 이 자리에 섰습니다.
Hello, my name is Kyung-soon Choi, and I'm a member of the Queens Tenant Coalition. I've been living at 3555 73rd Street in Jackson Heights for over 40 years, and I'm here to demand a rent rollback and a study to understand landlord overcompensation.
뉴욕 시민의 절반 이상과 마찬가지로 저는 주거비 부담이 큽니다. 매달 소득의 55%를 집세를 지출하고 있습니다. 집세에 너무 많은 비용을 쓰다 보니 병원, 약국, 식료품, 옷값, 케이블, 핸드폰, 뭐 여러 가지 감당할 수가 없습니다. 지금은 집세를 감당할 수 없는 상황입니다. 집세 인상만 동결한다고 해도 여전히 감당하기 힘들 것이며 지금처럼 계속 어려움을 겪게 될 것입니다.
Like many New York City tenants, I am also rent burdened. I pay over 55% of my monthly income towards my rent, and this means that I can barely afford medical costs, medication costs, paying for clothes, cable, electricity, my phone. And this is why, even with a rent freeze, I will still continue to struggle and my rent will still be unaffordable.
한편 제 아파트의 건물에는 집주인이 고쳐주지 않는 여러 가지 문제가 있습니다. 예를 들면 아침, 화장실, 수도 문제, 집 문제. 저는 집세를 내고 있지만 그 대가로 제공받아야 할 서비스를 제대로 받지 못하고 있습니다. 그래서 집세 인하가 필요한 것입니다. 집주인들은 건물 유지 관리 비용을 감당할 수 없다고 불평하지만 우리 집은 점점 더 낡아가는 동안 그들은 해마다 임대료를 인상해 왔습니다. 그들의 임대료를 인상한 돈을 우리 집을 관리하는 데 쓰지 않습니다. 그저 자기 주머니만 채울 뿐이죠.
At the same time, there are so many problems in my apartment. I have a leak in my kitchen and in the bathroom, and I pay my rent, but I don't get the services I'm paying for. And that's why we need a rent rollback. Landlords complain that they can't afford to maintain their buildings, but they've gotten rent increases year after year, while my house gets worse and worse. They don't spend those rent hikes to maintain my apartment. Instead, they just line their own pockets.
우리가 이곳에 모인 이유는 집세가 너무 비싸서 생계를 꾸려나가기 힘들기 때문입니다. 생활비는 계속 오르고 있는데 임금은 오르지 않고 있습니다. 반면 집주인들의 소득은 지난 3년 동안 30% 이상 증가했습니다. 그런데도 이 위원회는 집주인의 비용에 관한 연구는 수없이 검토하면서도 세입자의 부담에 관한 연구는 단 한 번밖에 검토하지 않고 있습니다.
All the tenants here are here because our rent is too high and we are struggling to make ends meet. Our wages are not increasing and the cost of living keeps going up. Meanwhile, landlord incomes have risen over 30%, and this board only sees study after study on landlord expenses and only one on tenant burden.
집주인들이 현재의 과거의 거둔 수익을 분석하고 이 도시를 진정으로 주거비 부담이 적은 것으로 만들기 위해 어떤 임대료 조정이 필요한지 파악하여 임대료를 인하해 줄 것을 요청합니다.
I asked that the board commission a study analyzing present and past profits made by landlords and decide what rental adjustments are needed to make the city affordable, and I asked for a rent rollback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll now welcome Sheila Rasuli, Mark Johnston, and Zoila Macias.
Thank you. I'm here in solidarity as a tenant from the state of Michigan and the Ann Arbor Tenants Union. And I can tell you, many of the stories I've heard tonight feel all too familiar. Rental prices skyrocket and families are forced to accept lower standards of living. Collapsed ceilings, black mold, cockroaches, no heat, no water, and environmental health concerns. Tenants are stuck between living in a unit that takes more than 50% of their paycheck while harming the health of their children and homelessness. But what happens when that rent becomes 60% or 70%? Where does that money even come from? In Michigan, a father told me his kids know they will not be able to eat what they want. He told me, we are all hungry, but it is what we have to do right now to afford rent. To be honest, I didn't plan to speak tonight. I'm not from here. But sitting here, listening to people's stories has made me increasingly frustrated because this is not Michigan, where rent control is illegal. It doesn't need to be like this here. New York City can do something about this. You, sitting there, you can do something about this. You have the power that so many states don't have. You can stop the ever-increasing percentage that prevents families from going to the doctor, prevents families from buying groceries, or advocating for better housing conditions. As the biggest city in America, other states look to you to lead the way in tenant protections. A rent freeze in New York City is not just felt here, it is felt by legislators, tenant organizers, and everyday families struggling across America. You can set the standard. New York City can be the model we look at in Detroit, in Chicago, in LA. You can make this city one that empowers its tenants. Not just in word, but in practice too. And you can do that by rolling back the rent right now.
Thank you. Mark Johnston.
Good evening. I live at Park Hill City. It's a large unit down the street. We have 490 units. The owner has Plaza Management, I think is their name. They have over 2,000 units citywide. I wish to read an open letter that 80 of our tenants wrote to Councilperson Williams, Mayor Mamdani, State Senator Comrie. These signatures were delivered today. We, the residents of Park Hill City, write to you collectively because the conditions in our community have deteriorated to a level that is no longer tolerable, lawful, or safe. The issues described below have been repeatedly raised through management channels, but have not been meaningfully remediated. We now seek your direct intervention. Number one, inadequate heating in the child care area. The child care room routinely fails to meet minimum heating standards. Temperatures have fallen to levels unfit for infants, toddlers, and staff. This is not a mere inconvenience. It is a persistent violation of basic health and safety concerns. Children cannot be left in cold rooms while management does temporary fixes or makes excuses. Number two, dilapidated and unsafe common areas. Carpeted hallways and shared facilities have been allowed to decay. Dog urine and feces are left uncleaned. These conditions undermine the dignity of the community and contradict the standards that any residential complex should meet. Number three, truth in heating violations. Residents are neither provided with heat nor advised of estimated seasonal heating costs, resulting in outrageous Con Ed charges. Number four, illegal evictions and retaliatory practices. Several residents have faced eviction attempts that appear, to violate procedural requirements and in some cases seem retaliatory. These actions destabilize families, erode trust, and create a climate of fear rather than cooperation. Number five, improper fees and unauthorized auto pay billings. Residents involved in auto pay have been double charged, assessed with insufficient funds and late fees that were never disclosed, approved, or contractually authorized. Attempts to obtain explanations or corrections have been met with delays, deflections, or silence. These practices constitute improper billing and in some cases may constitute unlawful collection activity. Number six.
Thank you for your testimony.
I want to mention there's racial discrimination. White people don't have to pay agent fees. Black people do.
Thank you. And I'll now welcome Zoila Macias, and MD Khairul Islam. Is Zoila here? Okay, we'll welcome MD.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম শুভ সন্ধ্যা আমি একজন বাংলাদেশি আমেরিকান আমি এই দেশে 95 এ এসেছি আমার বর্তমান সময়কাল 32 বছর চলতেছে 32 ইয়ার্স আমি এখন রিটায়ার্ড পারসন একটা অ্যাপয়েন্টমেন্ট স্টুডিও রুমে থাকি ও
My name is Khairul Islam. I am a Bangladeshi immigrant and a tenant living in New York City from 1995. And I live in a, you said one bedroom or studio?
Studio room.
I live in a studio apartment right now.
তো ফার্স্ট টাইম ভাড়া ছিল $500 এখন বেড়ে হয়েছে $1850
So when I first moved into the studio, the rent was $500 and now it's $1,800.
কিন্তু অনেক সমস্যা বিল্ডিংটা মনে হয় 100 কি 150 বছর ওল্ড পুরাতন
There is so many problems in my unit. It feels like my building is 150 years old.
যখন বিল্ডিংটা হয় তখন ওই বেসিন লাগালছে তখন এই চুলা ইলেকট্রিক চুলা দিয়ে গ্যাস চুলা ছিল কমেট ওই সময়কারই আছে এখন পর্যন্ত চেঞ্জ করেনি কোনো রিনোভেশন নাই
When I first moved into the apartment, the stove and all the appliances are still the same. They haven't been changed at all.
চেঞ্জের কথা বললে পরে বলে যে ঘর ছেড়ে চলে যাও
When I ask them to change my appliances, they ask us to leave.
একদিন হঠাৎ আমার ঘরে ইলেকট্রিক মানে গ্যাসের লিক করেছে গ্যাস লাইন লিক করেছে আর কি তো আমি জানতাম না যে আমার ঘরে গ্যাস লিক করে মানে থাকা অভ্যাস হয়ে গেছে উপরে আমার উপরে একজন কুকুর মানে ডগ নিয়ে থাকে ওই ডগে মানে ফাইন্ড আউট করেছে যে এখানে গ্যাস লিক করতেছে
So I found out that my apartment has a gas leak. The dog who lives upstairs actually figured it out that we have a gas leak. I did not know that I had a gas leak in my apartment.
তারপরে ফায়ারের গাড়ি আসলো আর কি রাত্রি তখন 3টে আমার দরজায় ধাক্কা দেয় আর কি
Then the fire services came in my apartment. It was 3 a.m. at night and they were knocking at my door.
তারপরে ওরা ফাইন্ড আউট করলো যে হ্যাঁ এখানে গ্যাস লিক করতেছে আর কি
And they found out that the gas is leaking.
তারপরে ওটা লক করে চলে গেল ক্লোজ করে দিল আর কি গ্যাস ক্লোজ করে দিল আর কি
Then they turned off the gas and they left.
6 মাস আমাকে কারেন্টে ভাত রান্না করতে হয়েছে মানে 6 মাস আমাকে কোনো গ্যাস দেয়নি এখনো গ্যাস নাই
So for 6 months I haven't had gas. I don't have gas right now. I've been cooking with electric stoves.
একটা ইলেকট্রিক চুলা দিল তো সেটা আবার মানে লোডশেডিং হয় মানে জলে আবার নিভে যায়
They gave me an electric stove. It doesn't work properly. It starts and then it turns off.
বাধ্য হয়ে আমাকে আমার মেয়ে কিনে নিয়ে এসে একটা নতুন দিয়ে সেট করেছে আর কি
So my daughter actually bought a new stove and then set it up.
তো আমি বয়স্ক মানুষ আমার বয়স এখন 70 ইয়ার্স আমি 4-5 বার আমার সেকশন 8-এর এবং মানে মানে সিটির বাড়ির জন্য আবেদন করেছি কিন্তু এখন পর্যন্ত আমার নামে কোনো একটা বাড়ি সিলেক্ট হয়নি আর কি
So I'm an old person. I'm above 70 years old. I have applied for Section 8 housing and affordable housing, but nobody has reached out to me. I'm not getting any houses available unit right now.
কারণ আমি এই দেশকে ভালোবাসি আমি যেতে পারছি না আমার গত বছর আমার ওয়াইফ জানুয়ারি মাসে এখানে মারা গেছে
So I love this country and I don't want to leave my neighborhood and my house. And my wife passed away in this same unit that I'm living right now.
বাইসাইকেলে রাস্তা ক্রসিং করছিল বাইসাইকেল যা হিট করে তাকে অ্যাক্সিডেন্ট করে আর কি
So there was a bicycle that hit my wife and she passed away because of that.
2 বছর আমার ওয়াইফ মানে অজ্ঞান অবস্থায় ছিল
My wife was in a state of coma for 2 years.
আমি কোনো কমপ্লেন করিনি কারোর কাছে
I did not complain to anyone.
তো এই হিসাবে আমি কোথাও যেতে পারছি না আপনাদের কাছে আমার অনুরোধ আমাদের মতন বয়স্ক লোকের জন্য একটা যে কোনো একটা অ্যাপার্টমেন্ট হালকা বেতনের হালকা পয়সাতে আর কি।
So I can't live anywhere right now. I really ask the RGB to figure something out for old people like us. We are suffering in our homes. It would be helpful if we get homes from the city or get jobs that will help us.
আপনাদের কাছে অনুরোধ, এটা আমাদের জন্য বয়স্ক লোকদের জন্য একটা সুব্যবস্থা করবেন। আর আমরা যে কারণে এসেছিলাম, আমি একজন ক্যাবের সদস্য, আমরা যদি আমাদের এই ভাড়াটা যদি সম্পূর্ণ না হয়, কিছু একটা হলেও পরে আমাদের একটা বেনিফিট আসবে আর কি, আমাদের গরিব মানুষের জন্য আসবে আর কি। আল্লাহ হাফেজ।
So last thing I want to say is please do something for old senior tenants. I am here with CAV Astoria Tenants Union, and I ask you all to do something about this crisis that we are facing, and please freeze the rent. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, and I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm going to do a final call of these folks who didn't come up. Please come now. If you're here, Cynthia Nixon, Kit Lee, Pamvi Hassan, Daquan Llewellyn, Moram Pervin, Raymond H., and Zoila Macias.
সকলকে আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Everybody, assalamu alaikum.
আমার নাম পারভেজ হাসান ডলার।
My name is Parvez Hassan Dollar.
আমি ক্যাবের একজন নেতা, 4 বছর থেকে আছি।
I'm a CAV leader and I have been here for 4 years.
আমি আজকে এখানে এসেছি আরজিবির কাছে একটা অনুরোধ জানাইতে।
I'm here today to request something from RGB.
আরজিবি অনেক কিছুই জানেন, অনেক কিছুই শুনেন, অনেক কিছুই বুঝেন।
The RGB knows a lot of things, you all hear a lot of things, and you all understand a lot of things.
এবং আজকেও অনেক কথা শুনলেন, অনেক কথা বুঝলেন।
এবং today you all have heard and understood a lot from us.
আমাদের যে সব লোকজন কথাবার্তা বললে, এই সব কথাবার্তার মানে এবং রেজাল্ট আপনারা দিবেন।
So the people who has spoken here today, you will give us the result of what we spoke today here.
আমিও চাই ভাড়া ফ্রিজ।
I also want rent freeze.
কিন্তু আমার আবেদন হচ্ছে জনাব মহামান্য মেয়রের প্রতি, মেয়র যখন ভোটে দাঁড়িয়েছিলেন তখন উনি বেশ কয়েকটা ম্যানিফেস্টো দিয়েছিলেন, তার মধ্যে ভাড়া ফ্রিজ, চাইল্ড কেয়ার, বাস ফ্রি।
So my application to Honorable Mayor, when he first stood for his campaign, he promised us childcare, fast and free buses, and rent freeze.
আমি যখন মামদানি সাহেবের ভোটের ক্যাম্পিং করতে যাই তখন একজন বলেছিল আমাকে যে এগুলা অত সহজ না, এগুলা অনেক বাধা বিঘ্ন আছে।
So when I was campaigning for Mamdani, a lot of people asked me at doors, at streets, like, is this possible? It's not easy to actually win all these things.
আজ আমি এখানে সাইন ইন করতে এসে বুঝতে পারলাম যে এগুলা অনেক বাধা বিঘ্নর ব্যাপার।
So when I came here to sign in and testify, it felt like these things are actually very challenging.
আমি কথা আর বাড়াইতে চাই না, আপনারা সব কিছুই বুঝেন। আমার বিশেষ অনুরোধ আরজিবির কাছে এবং আমাদের মেয়রের কাছে, যে মেয়র সাহেব আমাদেরকে যে প্রতিশ্রুতি দিয়েছেন এবং আপনারা যে ক্যাবিনেট হয়ে বসেছেন তার কাছে আকুল আবেদন যে আমাদের ভাড়া অন্ততপক্ষে ফ্রিজটা করেন।
So I don't want to say more things, but I just want to tell that you have heard everything, you understand everything. Please freeze the rent at least, if not rent roll back.
সকলকে ধন্যবাদ। আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
Everybody, thank you and assalamu alaikum.
Thank you.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আমার নাম আয়েশা আক্তার, আমি অ্যাস্টোরিয়া ক্যাবের একজন সদস্য।
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Aisha Akhtar. I am a CAV Astoria Tenants Union member and leader.
আমি অ্যাস্টোরিয়া যেই বাসায় থাকি প্রায় 12 বছর যাবৎ একই বাসায় থাকি। ওইখানে প্রতি বছরই ভাড়া বাড়িওয়ালা ভাড়া বাড়াচ্ছে।
I've been living in my current rent stabilized unit for last 12 years, which is in Astoria, and last 12 years I've seen rent hikes.
আমাদের ইনকামের যতটুকু আমরা ইনকাম করি তার অর্ধেকই বাড়ি ভাড়ায় চলে যাচ্ছে।
So whatever I make, the household income, almost 50% of that goes to our rent.
এই বাড়ি ভাড়ার কারণে আমাদের গ্রোসারি এবং অন্যান্য শপে আমাদের খুব কষ্ট হইতেছে।
Because of these rent hikes and rent, we are having problems in other expenses like groceries and transportation.
Yes. আমাদের বাড়িওয়ালা যেমন আমাদের বাথরুম প্লাস আমার বেডরুম যেটা ওইখানে ছাদ ভেঙে বৃষ্টি আসলে পানি পড়ে এবং ছাদ দিয়েও পানি পড়ে, তখন আমরা পলিথিন দিয়ে ঘুমাইতে হয়েছে কিছুদিন আর কি।
So my roof has been leaking. 2 places in my house have been leaking. We asked our landlord, he didn't do anything. We had to put poly bags, plastic to save us from the leak.
রান্নাঘর এবং বাথরুম কোনো কিছুই ওরা ঠিক করে দেয় না, আমরা নিজেরাই এটা রেনোভেশন করি আর কি, ওরা করে দেয় না, বাড়িওয়ালা করে দেয় না।
They don't do any repairs or maintenance. They don't fix our kitchen or bathroom. We have to actually renovate it ourselves.
কিন্তু ভাড়া যদি একটু 1 মাস দিতে দেরি হয়, প্রতি সপ্তাহে মনে হয় প্রতি এভরিডে 3 বার 4 বার করে ফোন দেয় ভাড়ার জন্য।
But if we're late giving our rents, they call us 3 to 4 times every day.
তারপরে আমি যে বাসায় ছিলাম গত 4-5 বছর আগে পুরা 1.5 বছর শুধু গ্যাস ছিল না, তখন আমাদের অনেক কষ্ট হয়েছে, একদম টোটালি কোনো গ্যাস ছিল না বাসায়।
In this same apartment, I didn't have gas for 1.5 years.
গত 2 বছর আগে আমার বাসায় গ্যাস প্লাস গরম পানি হিট কোনো কিছুই ছিল না।
In last 2 years, my apartment lacked heat, warm water, hot water, and also we didn't have gas for 2 years.
আমার বাসায় আমার একটা ছোট্ট নাতি আছে, ডক্টরের কাছে নিয়ে গেছে, বলার পরে বলছে ওর শরীরে লিড পাওয়া গেছে।
I have a young
child
granddaughter. When I took her to, she was sick, and when we took her to doctor, they told us they found lead in her body.
তারপর বাড়িওয়ালাকে বলা হয়েছে ডেকে যে এরকম লিড পাওয়া গেছে, আপনারা বাড়িটা একটু রং করে দেন।
Then we asked the landlords to paint our houses because we found lead in our house.
কিন্তু বাড়িওয়ালা সব কিছু রং টং নিয়ে আসছে, এনে বলছে একদিন 2-3টা মিস্ত্রি এসে একটু সামান্য একটু রং করে, আজকে 6-7 মাস হবে, 7-8 মাস হবে, কিন্তু রং টং কোনো কিছু করে দেয়নি। পরে আমরা লাস্ট ফিনিশিং দিচ্ছি, আমরা নিজেরাই করছি রংটা।
So the landlord actually sent few people. They did a little painting, but actually it didn't really work.
যাই হোক, আমার সব কিছু আমাদের মিলে আমরা সেটাই বলতে চাই যেন আমাদের ভাড়া ফ্রিজ হয়ে যায়, আমাদের ভাড়া দিতে অনেক কষ্ট হয়। সকলকে ধন্যবাদ, আবারও সালাম।
So after all this, I just want to say we want to freeze the rent and fix our circumstances. That is my request to RGB. Thank you and Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who's provided testimony tonight, to the translation staff, the RGB staff, the security personnel. Thank you all. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second? Second. We are adjourned. Thank you, and we'll see you all next week in the Bronx.